Hello and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk About It, where my guest today is Mr. Christopher Williams. Christopher, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mr. Phelps. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Chris, you are a motivational speaker and a preacher or minister. How do I say that?
Oh, man. I think it's proper to say I'm a motivational speaker. And let's say this. Let's back away from minister, preacher. I'm a voice.
You're a voice.
I'm a voice. I'm a voice crying in the wilderness, man. Trying to say something positive, trying to bring some energy.
Right.
And support a message of people being their best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more inclusive of what we all do as ministers and pastors and teachers and preachers. We want to bring a message of hope, and so I'm a voice.
You're a voice.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Now, when you talk about being that voice, now, I know you didn't always feel like you had that type of voice. In your early childhood, you felt like you didn't have that. You felt like something was missing. But along your life's journey, you made some discoveries. Now, at an early age, I want you to tell me how you felt about Christopher Williams.
You know, there's a story growing up as a child that came out to me that I recall often. I used to mow yards.
Okay.
And as a young boy in my little town, I got my first lawnmower at 8 years old. And my mom said, I'm putting y'all to work. Y'all not staying here tearing up my house.
There you go.
I'm going to put you out there and mowing yards. I remember I used to mow this yard right across the street from my house. And I took great pride in mowing that yard. And so I would get out there and I would begin to mow. And one of my strategies was to make sure that the wheels lined up with every row. So there was no crossover, every row was even. And I spent a great deal of time doing that morning. And so I started mowing and finished my job, and I was standing in front of the yard looking at this beautifully manicured yard that I just mowed. So proud of my work.
Yeah.
One of my friends came by, him and his dad, and they looked at the yard and they said, wow, what a yard. You know, who did that yard? They were going on with all these accolades about the yard. I said, man, that looks great. And I spoke up and I said, well, you know, I did that. I did the yard.
Proud of it.
Proud of it. And the moment I said that, the conversation shifted.
Okay.
And where they began to doubt my ability to do that yard. And they told me, no, man, you didn't do that yard. That yard looks too great. You didn't do that. That couldn't have been you. And I said, that's me. Oh, man, somebody else came and did that yard. When I had just finished, and the grass was still on my shoes. I still had the lawnmower in my hand. And I was telling them about it, and it did something to me. It did something to my sense of security about what I could do, my abilities. And I remember that day being so pivotal in the way that I saw myself. And from that moment on, I had no sense of pride, no sense of confidence in what I could do, what I knew I could produce, because that came from some influential people that were in my life at that time. And it changed the course of my life. I mean, I started looking out on the horizon, and things that I wanted to go after, I didn't go after them. Wow. You know, things that I wanted to do, the athletes that I wanted to become, the girls that I wanted to date. I didn't even ask them because I felt that I didn't have it in me. And that was some of the earlier things in my childhood that really put me on a path of not having confidence in the greatness that I knew was somewhere resident inside of me. And it was amazing how it didn't take a lot of time for that dream to be compressed. You know, for that greatness to be pushed down. And I think that's the same thing with a lot of people. You know, it doesn't take a lifetime of discouragement to get somebody off a path.
It can take one thing. And you know, I say this often, and it takes me back to a biblical perspective. Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Definitely.
And oftentimes, we don't know the power of our words when we're using those words, how they can negatively affect the people that are around us. But when we're able, just think how powerful it would be if people were always imparting good things in us, if they were always saying positive things with us, and how much better the world would be. And oftentimes, we'll take that one thing, and there could be great things said, but we'll take the one thing that was negative, and we will build upon that one thing.
You know, and I think people do that because it's something that I've coined, at least thought about myself, and I think that most people deal from what I think is a severe case of separation anxiety. What I mean with that is that a lot of people really are not connected to the greatness that is inside of them. And we live our lives a lot separated from that greatness. And so it's in the nature of humanity to be connected to something, where we all have to feel this sense of validation and connection. And once we lose the connection with our greatness, once we are totally out of sync with the things that make us great, that divine nature, that part of God. One of my scriptures that I love so fondly in Ecclesiastes 3 said, there's a part of God in every man. There's a great part that we all should connect to. And when we're separated from that, the only thing that we have to connect to is our personal egos. You know, what it is we think we are, what it takes to make us what we are, you know, what we have, what we've done. And a lot of times those things are not in line with encouragement, because I can't encourage you fully without thinking about what I'm missing myself. You know, it's a selfish approach. And so most people live life, I found, with this selfish approach. Not that they're trying to be, you know, terrible
not that it's
people.
intentional.
Yeah, it's not intentional. It's just the way it is. And so
Mm-hmm.
I can walk through my life never having that ability, or never conjuring up in myself that part of me that it takes to reach out to you and say, hey, you can do it. Hey, I believe in you.
Right.
Because I'm first just trying to hoard for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to bring it in. I'm trying to connect and keep what I have.
Right.
And so that separation anxiety, I think that if more people would take the time to connect with the greatness, connect with the divinity that's inside of them, and lose this ego, lose this part of them, you know, that separates them, we'll find out more that one word that we speak can be full of love, can be full of kindness and tenderness and mercy, and we'll find more people, we'll find their ships turned around. Because that same scripture in James talks about the tongue. It's like the rudder on the ship, and it steers the ship. Absolutely. And so if I can say, hey, to you, you know, be encouraged, my brother, then my ship can be stirred, and then the next thing I should pass that on, say it to somebody else.
And that's the beauty of life experiences. That's
definitely.
The beauty of going through different trials and tribulations. It's always designed to bless and help somebody else along their journey. Excellent. Because they then can look at you and say, you know what, if Christopher Williams made it through this experience, guess what, I can too. And that's the beauty of going through what we go through. It helps us to have a different understanding once we come through it. You know, but a part of that purpose for yourself along your journey was for you to become a motivational speaker. Because it was your young years that molded you into the person that you become today. So when you begin motivational speaking, how did you actually navigate to get to the place where you are now?
Well,
and by the way, one of your, I guess, mentors, Les Brown, is definitely one of the people that I really respect in the realm of motivational speaking.
Yes.
And I have watched his videos over and over again at various times in my life when I want to be encouraged, inspired, and motivated in some kind of way. So I have that in common with you.
Yes.
As well as Mr. Miles Monroe. I think he is excellent as well. And I know you've actually shared the platform with both those guys. At different times, right?
Two phenomenal guys. You know, the world over is known the world over. You know, I think their story and what they bring to the table in inspiring people is a common theme even in my life. Because their story, when they rehearse it, they talk that they were going through trials. They were going through, you know, circumstances. They looked at themselves, didn't have the confidence that they thought they could have, and then they stood up. They found something. They had a moment, an epiphany, a light went off, you know, and they were able to stand up and do something significant, and we see how they've changed the world. Personally, from my life, my story follows suit. My mentorship under Les Brown taught me how to bring that out. Because I don't think I woke up one day trying to, you know, long-term goals, trying to be a motivational speaker. I think it came to me, I was going through a period in time of my life where I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I went to sleep one night, had a dream, an epiphany moment, where in that dream I opened my mouth and the world was shaking. It scared me at first, and I went back to sleep. And a voice came to me in my heart and said, the next time you open your mouth, keep it open. And every time you open your mouth, the world will change.
Wow, you know what? I want to talk a little bit more about what the world is changing through the opening of your mouth in just a moment. When we come back with more, let's talk about it. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, welcome back to this edition of Let's Talk About It, where my guest today is Mr. Christopher Williams, motivational speaker. Now, when we left off, Chris, we were talking about a dream that you have where you said in your spirit what you felt was, it's like the next time you open your mouth,
Yeah. Next time you open your mouth in the dream, it came out that I should keep it open. I should have it open. And it was amazing in the dream. My mouth just kind of elongated, you know, way beyond the natural frame of my head. And there was, the sound came out. And the sound shook the earth. And when I came out of it, I remember I had a tear rolling down my face. And I didn't understand it all. So the first thing I did was I had to think that it had to do something with speaking, opening my mouth. I'd been a young minister, a youth minister at my church. But beyond that, I knew it was something more. I knew there was a voice, there was a sound that needed to come out of me that was for the world to hear. And I woke up that day, and I remember the first thing I did is went to the internet to find Les Brown. Because that was the only reference that I had for anybody that ever done anything like that. My mom and dad coming up, they were in Amway, and we would listen to Les Brown.
He was big in Amway.
He was big in Amway, and you know, that whole you got to be hungry message. And
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
That's it. That's it. And we would play that in the car, and that's what I went back to. And I looked him up, and just a set of serendipitous events just brought us together. And you know, I began to learn from him, and what I took out of that is something that we're talking about. Everybody has a story. We all have something to say. There's a common thread in humanity where, you know, and part of that separation and that ego we were talking about earlier is where people will begin to think that they're islands. You know, that my story is my story. What I have is what I have. Nobody else has what I have. And then what that does a lot of times, it isolates people. It isolates the help that can come to your life.
You better say that again.
Yes, it isolates the help.
And that's what it does.
Come to your life.
Absolutely.
So you never meet a person like a Ferrell Phelps. You never meet a person like a Les Brown. You never meet these phenomenal people who are in their own right, you know, they're average people that have had phenomenal things happen in their life, but somewhere they find out, I need to tell the world about what's inside of me. You know, and then that's how we're all drawn. That's how we're helped.
And you know what, too? We always want something that we can identify with.
Definitely.
When we look within ourselves, we want to be able to identify with somebody some kind of way. And when you're able to identify with someone, you don't feel so isolated because you realize then, oh, there's someone else just like me.
That's it. That's it.
You know?
And I believe, too, this, Mr. Phelps, that if the truth of the matter is that I think we really associate with greatness more than we associate with calamity and challenge. Now, it's preached, it's taught, I've said it, that the thing that we try to bring people together on is common challenge, you know, and common tragedy. But it's something adverse in that. It's something that's a little twisted in that. Because the nature of who I really am, my greatness, tragedy does come, but the best of me is not always born out of tragedy. I believe the best of me can be born out of perceived goodness and this aspect of my life where I know that good and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And if I go after that, that's really where I find out what I am and what I can offer to the world.
There you go. And that's that preaching side of him coming out right there. You know, but you know, it's great to share these types of stories and to talk about these types of things. Now, when you're moving along your journey in life, there's different things that happen in your life that makes it pivotal. You know, pivotal things that happen that take you down a different journey. And when you listen to Les Brown, which we both know is somebody that we both appreciate in motivational speaking, he talks in one of his segments. He talks about his desire to be on the radio. He had this dream and this vision of being on the radio. He wanted the world to hear his voice.
That's it.
And so he was so antsy and so excited about it. And so he began to work at a radio station. And one night the guy who was supposed to be the DJ was drunk. And could not perform the job.
That's right. That's right.
And it's amazing how a lot of times in life, opportunities come up in your life for you to shine and for you to be the best that you can be. And for your dream to be ignited. And so for him, when that opportunity came up, they were like, we don't have a DJ. We don't have anybody that can do it. He said, I got this. And that was born in his life because he stepped up to the plate at that time and he said, I got this. But he had dreamed about it. He had seen himself in that place, in that position in life. He believed that he could do it. And ultimately, he did.
And you know, you just described a formula that is necessary for success. You know, I am in the process of writing a book now called The Opportunity Code. And in the Opportunity Code, I talk about timing, placement, and being. You know, a lot of times we talk about opportunity as being in the right place at the right time. And so when you talk about being is a state of mind. It's that anticipation. It's that confidence that you have that you know you can do something.
Yeah.
It may not be proven yet. You may not even been given the opportunity, but deep down inside,
you just know it.
You know you can do it. If somebody, I remember him telling that story. The guy's rock in the story. He said, "Drink, rock, drink." You know, that's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because he's pacing outside the studio, knowing that he can do it. The timing. If he didn't go after that, if he didn't follow that urge, it put him at a specific time where we say the universe aligned, where God's purpose aligned. You can say anything you want to say, that timing was appropriate for him.
Right.
And then the placement. It is the passion connected to the timing that divinely puts you in the right place.
Yeah.
It also equipped with the right tools. He had practice. He knew that's what he wanted to do. He was speaking the mirror, grab the spoon, do whatever you need to do.
There you go.
You know, to create that practice in yourself so that when you get to your being lines up, your timing lines up, you're right there where you need to be.
Exactly. Which takes me back to this point. And then again, back to the scripture. You know, speaking those things that be not as though they were.
Always.
He constantly spoke about being that person, being that radio personality with that voice.
Yes.
And when that opportunity came up, he was so prepared for it. He had major success, and that catapulted him into a whole different place in his life. Now, Chris, you're a dynamic speaker, obviously. How do people get in touch with you?
I have many routes. Social media is out there right now. Facebook, Christopher.Williams.speaks. Instagram, CLW Motivate. Twitter, CLW Motivate. I've tried to keep it thorough all the way through. You can email me at cwilliams@clwmotivate.com. Right now, I was telling Mr. Phelps, we're revamping. I'm going through a rebirthing phase, so you can contact me at cwilliams@clwmotivate.com and the Facebook. Look at me. I'm the guy that's smiling like that on Facebook. So those are all my avenues right now.
Well, I think that's fantastic, man. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Let's Talk About It.
As long as you don't try to step beyond this point, I have no problem with you. As long as you remain in your place, I have no problem with you. As long as you stay under me, I have no problem with you. But you bet not step forward. Oh, I wish I had. See, y'all missing it. Y'all missing it. See, that's the thing about it is that folk are happy as long as you are where you are.